is I'm trying to, the goal of parenting is to live or show and then teach your children how to fear God and keep his commandments. So getting a child to obey me is trying to say, okay, I want to keep God's commandments. But it's possible that in a child's heart, they've not yet have the fear of God. They might be doing right because you have told them to do right. If they don't do right, they're going to get in huge trouble. And they're still figuring out whether or not what their heart is going to be. They're trying to figure that whole part out. Now the problem is, I have a heart in here, but I don't know what it looks like. As a parent, that kid is living and doing some of this, and some of this, and then some of this, and then some of this. And those of you who are still in your parents' home, you have a choice to make. And that choice is going to be based on where your heart is at. Is your heart still bound up with foolishness? Or is your heart one that says, I'm going to fear God? Now, let's try to figure out what this whole fear God is all about. Does that mean I'm just afraid of God? No, that's not what that's about. It may be an aspect of it. But the fear of God is where I'm kind of sitting here, and I now have an opinion about God. I am learning something about God. And let's just imagine that I'm a little kid, and I don't know anything, and I start learning about God. And in my 2 and 3 class, my 4-year-old class, I start hearing Bible stories, and suddenly the stories about God are making him bigger and bigger. Now, I'm also comparing where I'm at and where God's at, and the fear of God says, okay, I am so small, I'm now looking up to God. And when we would say that a person has the fear of God, they have an attitude, a belief that God is one to be respected, that God is big, that he is one that I would worship, an attitude of honor, respect, even awe. Does that mean that maybe I would be afraid of God? I would be if God was big and I knew that he didn't want me to do certain things and I was doing those things. That might make me fearful. But if I don't really believe he's that big, and I don't really believe that he can see everything that I'm doing, and you know what? I kind of know better than what God does or says, and I can get away with whatever it is. That person doesn't have the fear of God. So what a parent is working with, the entire life while a child is in their home, they are trying to teach that child the fear of God. They're trying to teach their child who God is and how big he is and what he's all about, what he says. Now, the problem is, all of you have parents who both try to do right and have a heart bound with foolishness. You have lived close enough to your mom and dad that you know your mom and dad are not perfect. And yet they are sharing here's what God would say. We have to make a choice in our heart what I'm going to believe about God. And as a parent, I think one of the hardest things to do is, yes, I can create an environment where that kid gets to make no choice. They almost like a prison, almost like a house prison, where there's no choice to do right or wrong. They're like they have to do right. It's just like totally forced. And yet that child doesn't get an opportunity to make a choice in their life. This is why parenting is so messy. It's so hard. Those of us in church, we have to know that if there's a child in the room, we would expect a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and more of this. As mom and dad continue to teach and train, how do they teach and train? They live it. They show their children how to live. They teach it. They train it. But when I'm done with that, it doesn't mean that that child just automatically believes that. Every one of you who are still in your home know that you're the one who chooses that.